Good morning, everyone. Welcome to WonHeart TV, where we're live today. And I'm so thrilled to have my next guest because she started doing something when I got on the phone with her the other day. She started doing something similar to me. I didn't know this. I thought I was kind of a rare breed, but when I was young, I would show my friends that I ate this particular little teeny weeny tiny pink flower. I just pop it in my mouth and eat it and had no complications. I have no idea what I was eating. So little did I know that this beautiful soul here with me this morning is going to be talking about edible foods right in our own backyard. Welcome. It's Jacquelyn Moses. Is that how you say it?
Yes, yes. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, welcome. Well, I see you're out and about. Where are you today?
Well, I am in Oceano on an undisclosed location. I do not know if this is private property or not. Um, and I am out looking to see how the fennel is doing right now. It's in bloom, but it's not gone to seed yet. So I'll probably come back in a couple weeks and start gathering my fennel for treating digestive complaints.
Ooh, ooh, you're talking right up my alley, girlfriend. So, I've spoken to a functional nutritionist I had, Jean Jones, a while back, and I myself had hired somebody to help my gut, and I am all about gut health. Do you think it leads to a good, strong immunity, which we kind of need right now?
Gut health is like one of the main foundational pieces of your immune system. It's also one of the main foundational pieces of your mental health. So if you think about those things going together, a lot of people are struggling with mental health issues right now, and you can address them by addressing your gut.
You know, I didn't I didn't really make that correlation, and I use a breathing technique that's really helped me. But yes, there are more suicides today from this whatever it is virus, and a lot of damage is going into our human family. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of what you're going for out there and some talking about herbs and weeds, I want to hear about your story. You said you used to eat plants when you were young. You shared that your grandparents used to make medicine. Can you share your story, why you got involved?
Well, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest and just loved nature ever since I was a kid. I remember going on a hike, and I can't remember if it was a ranger or if it was one of the other parents that said, "Oh, there's horsetail and you can eat it." And I was like, "What? You can just pick stuff and it's not even in a garden?" Um, and it just kind of sparked my imagination. I was like, "There's so many native people tribes around here. They ate from the land. Maybe they did some gardening at some point, but they ate what the land produced on its own. And I bet I could do that too." So that was exciting to me, sparked my interest. Later, when I was interviewing my grandmother in high school as a part of a school project, she started telling me about her parents who came from Italy in around the 1920s. And they just brought a lot of their traditional ideals with them. And that included making medicine from the plants that grew abundantly around them. So they always had chamomile on hand. They would eat bitter greens from the empty lot next to them. They'd pick dandelion. They do all these things. And I was just sad that that information did not get translated to my grandmother. And it's lost by the time it comes to me. So I've been interested in what nature has to offer. It gives freely, it gives abundantly. It doesn't ask for anything in return except for maybe some respect and gratitude. And that's what really started my journey.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love your love for nature. I know I've truly gone back to that. I'm out in it as much as possible and near the beach, but I do see a lot of plants, and I think if the world should ever blow up, I'd be in big trouble if I was left to foraging for myself. So now that I know you, I'll be looking for you. Okay, we're not going to go there though. So there's something you brought up that's so true to many of us that live in this valley. I live in Santa Maria, and that is seasonal allergies. It looks like your kids were dealing with that. Can you share a little bit about what you had to go through with the doctors or anything around that, and how it led you back to herb?
Yeah. So when my kids were little, um, one of my sons in particular, I have 5 children, so as my second son was just struggling ever since he was born, practically. He had horrible asthma. Um, he had seasonal allergies. And I remember just going to the doctor time after time. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I was always add a little drug, add another drug. So he was 4 and he was taking 5 different drugs for his allergies and asthma. And I'm like thinking, what is he going to be taking when he's a 70-year-old? Is he going to be eating his body weight in Benadryl? You know? Um, so after a lot of pushing and cajoling, I got her to or food test him. Turns out he was sensitive to most of the foods he was eating. And it took me a few years after removing those foods from his diet to start learning how to repair his health, repair his gut. And one of the most amazing herbs that I came across was stinging nettle. It's very abundant all over the country. You can find it almost anywhere. Most people avoid it because of the stings, obviously. It has little silica hairs. But if you boil it, crush it, or dry it, those little tiny hairs dissolve. And you can make this tea that immediately starts working on your allergy symptoms.
Okay,
So if he
what's the name of this plant again?
stinging nettle,
I've heard of it. Okay, okay.
Urtica dioica, and if I'm pronouncing that wrong, please forgive me.
Somebody had to make that name up, probably
Yeah,
after
some
their last
scientist
name
somewhere,
rhymes.
some man.
I like stinging nettle. I can handle that. Yeah, I actually had some, I think, in my backyard, but I was afraid to pick it. I didn't know if there's something, I think it was that plant in particular, something about when it's younger to make it into tea, the little stickers or whatever are on it, the little deadly things. You don't want to touch it.
They aren't deadly. They're just like a little pinch, you
Oh,
know.
okay.
And if you just put on a glove or something, you can grab a bunch of them, dry them thoroughly, and by the time they're dry, they're not going to sting you.
Now, I have a question. How do you dry such things? Because I've heard so much about even dandelions, dandelion being really good tea, and I can't remember exactly what for. But what's the process that you go through for that you had to do for your son? You grab the weeds, stinging, right? And
Yeah, I just cut the tops off
uh-huh.
um, in a bowl, brought it inside. I have a dehydrator. You don't necessarily need a dehydrator if you gather them on a dry day and there's no moisture on the plant. You can pretty much lay them down on some paper towels, maybe on top of your fridge where they'll be undisturbed and kind of warmed. And after a few days, you check them. If they're dry, crush them up. And I don't recommend putting the dried herb into a pot to boil. I recommend boiling water and pouring it over the dried herb, like maybe in a French press,
Gotcha.
waiting 20 minutes, pressing out the herb, and then you have a not necessarily the best tasting tea, but if your mouth is itchy or your eyes are watery or your nose is running, it's amazing how fast it begins to work.
Oh, I'm one of these. Prove it to me. I'll try it. I'll do it, if it works. Who doesn't have those seasonal allergies around here? I used to teach voice and the kids would come in with droopy eyes trying to sing through all this congestion and I felt so bad for them. And then of course, what do? They go to CVS and they get themselves a Benadryl, like you said, and then they can't
No.
even they can't even focus. They're like
Yeah.
all groggy. I felt so bad for them. All right. Well, that's a great herb. I had no idea, and I love knowing how to prepare it for a tea. Now, going back to just out of curiosity, dandelion, I've heard so much about it, but don't pick it out of your grass because if you do poisons, you don't want that on your dandelion.
That is for sure. So Dandelion likes to grow in areas where soil does not have enough calcium, and then it fixes calcium. So don't kill your dandelions. It's helping your yard, actually. Um, but if you know of a place where there hasn't been any pesticides sprayed, you can do a lot of things with dandelion. You can eat the young, tender leaves. They are very bitter, but bitter is what causes our digestive juices to get flowing. So it's anything bitter is really good for supporting your digestion. So that's the leaves. And then if you wait until it goes to seed, go ahead and blow on the seed pod, make a wish, and dig up the roots. And you can roast those roots to make a tea as well, which is also good for supporting your liver. Maybe you've been relaxing with a couple more glasses of wine than usual. Go ahead and add some dandelion tea to keep that liver, up and running.
So that's a great idea. I know that my liver could use a little bit of whatever. I think
A
you're,
little love.
yeah, a little love through the years. So out of curiosity, I think naturally pulled right out of the garden is like the best tasting anything. I have a little backyard garden myself, plenty of goodies in that. What do you say the difference between going to, let's say, Lassen's or somewhere, or even your grocery store and getting yourself some dandelion tea? Is that is that in your what would you say in your opinion that's just as good, or really there's nothing better than getting it and doing it yourself?
Well, that is totally personal preference. I like the adventure of getting my own stuff. Um, but not everybody can do that. And the amounts that you have to get to support you through healing process is quite a lot. So um, I try not to buy anything from China. They don't have the same standards that we do. But there is a great herbal brand called Traditional Medicinals, and Guido Masse is their herbalist. I really respect his work. He's a really amazing guy. Um, so if you don't care to go through the long process of making your own tea or grabbing your own nettle, there's nothing wrong with grabbing one right off the shelf. I mean, I'm not going to buy anything that says Lipton on it, but there are
Yeah,
some really good
right.
medicinal teas out there, especially at Lawson's and places where you kind of trust their curating process.
Right, 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 right. So true. All right. Something you said on your website that you have, roaming, what was that again? Roaming
Rowdy prisoners.
rowdy prisoner. That seems so bizarre. A name, rowdy prisoners. I'm not exactly sure. You said it came from somebody you really had loved the writings of, and oh, can you share just a moment about what that's all about? Rowdy prisoners.
um, okay, so there's my favorite poem. It says, "The small man goes around building cages for everyone he knows, but the wise man who has to stoop his head when the moon is low keeps dropping keys all night long for the beautiful rowdy prisoners." And that's kind of how I feel about our medical system, is they have all the knowledge, expertise, locked up, and it's theirs alone to dispense at will to the people that can afford it. And I feel like nature and herbs and plants are everywhere. And so if I can help people understand how to use the world around them freely, cheaply, or if you feel like buying it at a store, a $5 box of nettle tea is definitely doable for most people. um, I feel that just puts the knowledge in your hands. You treat yourself, you understand your body, and you do what's good for you. And that healing doesn't belong to somebody else.
All right, sister, where have you been my whole life? Oh my God, I love this. I mean, I'm sitting here going, oh my God, you are like such my tribe. I swear. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes, take your healing into your own hands. Big Pharma has done us no good whatsoever. And those pills just keep dropping right into us. And ugh, ugh. Okay, you've been doing this for 5 years. It looks like you've had about up to 400. hours of hand-on experience. You're out there right now. Are you seeing any goodies? That's
Well,
hands-on.
yeah. Um, let's see if I can do this without poking myself. I'm finding some thistle. It's kind of late for a thistle right now. Most of the thistle is gone, and so many things are great about this. Once it goes to seed, you can make a tea, which is also hepatoprotective, which means it protects your liver. I found a lot of fennel, not ready yet.
Oh, it's yellow. It looks okay.
Yeah, it's yellow. It smells like fennel. I
Hmm.
mean, like nourishing medicinal herbs were just called food by people 100 years ago. Like we put fennel in our food. But it's very beneficial. I found some nasturtiums earlier, but they kind of were a little bit out of reach. So I'm not going to be gathering those today.
Now these, yeah, if you got poison oak out there, be careful. Yeah, we do have that around here. So thistle, what would you use that for? And fennel, what would be something a tea for that?
Well, I mean, if you just use the seeds, once it goes to seed, dry those out, pop it in a tea, make sure you strain it extremely well because no one wants those little hairs in their mouth. But that's good for liver support. That's also good for milk production. I'm way past that point in life, but it's definitely good for the feminine system. And then fennel, once I do get enough seeds, I like to make some herbal bitter blends. Just soak a whole bunch of different kinds of herbs in alcohol, and then with a tiny little dropper, just put a couple drops in sparkling water before I eat. And that's good at getting the digestive enzymes flowing, getting the digestive juices going so that the digestive process is easier. As we age, we start losing some of that.
Yes, I've noticed that. I'm not going to tell you my age, but I've definitely noticed that different foods I cannot eat as much as I used to. Old days I could put a hamburger, french fries, and a milkshake down, and now no milk,
Not
no
so much.
milkshake because I can't do dairy. My hamburger is now between lettuce leaves, lettuce, I should say, and can't have potatoes because they're dark shades, and so they add to my knuckle. I'm a guitarist, so I got to have my free-flowing knuckles. All right. So you said the pharmacy is outside. I believe that wholeheartedly. On your site, again, I love that story about your business there. Rowdy Prisoners. I'm gonna have to get that poem from you after this because I like that. Um, you've got some classes that you do. It looks like you're available. Can you talk a little bit about those classes? It looks like not only classes, but you also do herb walks, like what you're doing right now with people.
Yeah. Yes, I do. And those, you can just message me through my business page, Rowdy Prisoners. I'm on Facebook and on Instagram. Um, and I usually do a 20-minute consultation to see what your goals are. So if you wanted to do a class and you wanted to tailor it around something specific to you, like allergies or digestive complaints or mental well-being or cold and flu support, or that other thing that's going on out there, um, then I would put together the herbal things that I think would be easiest to make and to utilize for whatever the complaint is. So that's the classes. And then the herb walks are whatever's in season. So different times of the year, I would go different places. I try to make sure that they're family friendly. Every herb walk I've ever gone on has said don't bring children, and I think that is the opposite of the way it should be.
Right.
So I've tried to pick areas that are quiet, they're flat, maybe stroller accessible, but just want to get in there and get kids as excited about nature as I was as a child, to see that there is so much going on around you that you need to be aware of.
Right. I really do believe the key is including the children. I was just going to ask you, do you have like mommy and me kind of things? I wish somebody in Napomo maybe had a spread of land where, just nothing but chaos. I heard chaos in nature is actually where you want it to be, because one herb will be needs the shade of the tree of the, you know what I mean? And there's this
Hmm.
whole little beautiful chaotic, what looks like chaos to us. Not rows of weeds, not rows, but it's like where you're at right now. People would think, well, how can you find anything in there? What's that?
Oh, that's nasturtium.
What is that? Or
It's a flower.
okay.
Um, you can eat it, throw it in some salad, and show it off at a dinner party, and you'll look pretty awesome. But
And
you
in
can
your
also make it
hair.
into yeah. You can also put it in just a nice floral soothing tea as well. Um, I just like it because it's pretty, and I'm going to be doing a class with natural dyes, and so I'm testing my fabrics this week.
Oh, I love that, of course, because the dyes I use as much eco-friendly ingredients around my house as possible. You know, I know that there's too many chemicals and too many smelly things too. I'm very sensitive to the smelly stuff. High colognes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You look like you're in paradise right now with all that vegetation behind your head. I
It
love
is really beautiful, isn't it? There's so
it
much
is.
willow back here.
It is, and it's green and it's flourishing and it's happy. And yeah, now it seems that you're near the ocean. I think I saw you when you were first taken off in Oceanos. So if you're close enough, I would suspect that what's keeping that vegetation going is the fog or the drippiness in the morning because,
No, this is actually um, a riparian habitat behind me. Well, I turn this way. Behind me, there's a waterway that goes
okay.
out to the ocean.
Oh, okay.
Um, I'm really careful about what I pick around here because I don't know what's in the water. So I try to pick closer to the path. But because it's riparian, that means specific herbs are going to be more available here. I usually see a lot of mugwort, which I'm not seeing right now. Um, but yeah, there's this secret little waterway. Let's see if I can show it to you.
Sure. So
I
it's
don't think you can see it.
coming down from somewhere? Or you
It's
don't know
coming.
where it's
Yeah, I don't know where it's coming from.
oh, could be a washout from up the way and some agriculture stuff, and we don't want that.
Yeah, yeah, don't want that so much.
Well, good news, Monsanto is being sued, but unfortunately, I found out Bayer bought them up, and they're real happy that Monsanto, I know, and they're happy that they're going to keep the Monsanto name so that that goes down the drain in its own little course and not attached to our beloved Bayer. So I don't use I don't use any products as much as possible. And to be honest, I just don't get ill, but it's the immune system. I'm going to go back to
Mhm.
the gut and the immune system.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're saying herbs and weeds and plants abundantly. The pharmacy is right in our own backyard. Some of us also helps with mental health. Oh, we lost you, my dear.
Oh, can
There
you
you
see
are.
me?
Yeah, there
My
you
my son was trying to call me. He might try to call a couple times.
are.
Yeah, mental health, like right now, a lot of people are stressed out. And I think that the key to abundant healthiness is three pillars. You have spiritual, mental, and physical. And if you spend all of your time and energy trying to protect that physical body, you're going to be balanced on one leg of your stool. Um, so
Well,
practicing mental health in whatever way you do, you mentioned you do breathing techniques, walking in nature, connecting with friends in whatever ways possible. All those things are important, but the spiritual side of things that I kind of see, especially on social media, is a lack of generosity to our fellow man, a lot of judgmental attitudes, and those are going to affect your health as well, just as much as eating candy bars for breakfast every day.
Or
So,
McDonald's.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, treating your body with honor and dignity, but also treating the people around you with honor and dignity, benefit you. you
Right.
know,
Right.
if you're going around being judgmental, you're harming yourself. So, when quarantine started, I recognized that I was very irritable with my children. Um, Suddenly, homeschooling 5 children was not in my game plan. And I just started taking lemon balm tea. It's like this nice floral, but it's a mood lifter. It really supports where you need it. And my kids are like, Mom, you're just not so crabby anymore. And I'm like, I'm just drinking lemon balm tea. And of course, they had to laugh at me. They're like,
Mm.
what is it? Is there weed in it? And I'm like, no, it's just a nice, lovely little plant that cheers me up when I recognize I'm being a little bit on the grouchy side. Um, and I've also been taking ashwagandha tincture, which is long-term stress relief, which has really helped me as well when I can't be in my community. I can't be with my friends. I need to support that spiritual and mental well-being.
Very much so. Very much so. I agree. I took that at one time as well. Menopause kicks your butt as you get older. Just another love gift of being the feminine energy. Well, he's trying to call you. That's good.
It really
You got some
is.
love there. Well, I gotta end with this. I'm sad to say that my neighbor is also going to be homeschooling, and I wanted to lend her a book of mine from Dr. Christian Northrup, who's very homeopathic, and she had Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom, and she was using a lot of this information and going more herbs for women's health issues and different things. And my neighbor has a lot of acne, which I'm sure is stress related right now. She has 4 children like yourself, a lot of things coming down the pike, homeschooling. And so she was trying to look for ways. Lost, I don't know who I lent that book out to, but then that I thought, oh well, I'll go find my book. It's got to be one you know. It's called Back to Eden.
Yeah,
And
I've heard of that one.
I had it in my possession and I do not know where it is. So anybody out there watching, if you have my 2 books, please, could I have them back? No. Back to Eden is like the garden herb book, Bible for herbalists for sure. A friend gave it to me and it's a little overwhelming because anything and everything is in there, you know, and it's all done with the beauty of nature. Beauty of nature.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm gonna have to find my
Awesome.
book.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I think it would be wonderful if we could get some classes going for you. So I'm going to replay this on Facebook for any of you interested. I've got some great interviews at oneheartinfo.org where you can catch many different women talking about all kinds of subjects. And I was led to Jacquelyn through my friend Felicity, who did it on backyard gardening. I cannot express how much I appreciate you taking the time today and giving us your insight into the backyard garden that's all around it. Ooh, you just landed into the mother lode, didn't you? What's that?
This is California poppy, and it definitely can support if you're having some insomnia or um, sleep complaints. So they are not open right now because it's foggy and they open with the sun, but they are still going to be useful.
So you would grab some of those, dry them out again, and then
Yeah, tea or tincture, depending on how much work I want to put into it.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and one last question, tincture. I wanted to get to that earlier. What process is that? What is that? Drops that you put in things, or how does that work?
Yeah, so there's many ways of preserving herbs. We don't always get them fresh. I mean, in California, we have a year-round growing season, but um, if drying it is not the best way to preserve the herb, um, then I will chop it up and soak it in alcohol, then squeeze out the herb, and all those beneficial phytochemicals are now in the alcohol. And then you could just put, it's like a really concentrated form. You can just put a couple of drops in something. Whereas with the tea, you would probably need more flower heads. So it's a preference, and then also the herb kind of dictates. Certain things need to be dissolved in alcohol, certain things need to be dissolved in hot water, and certain things need to be dissolved in cold water or other methods. There's a lot.
We'd have to stay in check with you for sure when we're doing something because you don't want to overdose on an herb there or weed. Well, this has been really, really enjoyable, and I love taking a walk with you in our own backyard this morning because I haven't done mine. And I wish you well with your Facebook page again, and you're well. I will be putting, for any of you watching on Facebook here with us, I will be replaying this video for you tomorrow. I'll kick it back on for you, and I hope you'll sit back with a cup of tea and watch this great video with Jacquelyn. Thank you again. You are a mother crone working on behalf of our beloved family. I think mothers have to know this information. It's so important to get your kids well, happy, and that's what we want as a society full of that. So thank you again. You can
Thank you.
yeah, we'll talk to you soon. And again, if you want to stay connected with us, go to oneheartinfo.org, where you can see all the videos and subscribe to the blog, as well as WonHeart TV on YouTube. All right, y'all. Be well, stay well, and well, be happy. Stay happy. That's my thing now. Not stay well. Stay happy. All right.
Bye.
It's our natural homeostasis. Bye bye, y'all. Peace. Love to y'all.